The dying old man pressed a rusty key into Daniel's hand and whispered, "Whatever happens, never let them open the chamber beneath the church." Seconds later, black SUVs surrounded the street. And before sunrise, Daniel became the most hunted boy in the city. Daniel had learned long ago that life was unfair. At 17, while other teenagers worried about fashion, parties, and social media trends, Daniel worried about survival. Every morning before dawn, he rode through the busy streets of Port Harcourt with a wooden bread crate tied to the back of his rusty bicycle. The roads were rough, the customers impatient, and the pay barely enough to buy food. Still, he never complained. Not because he was strong, but because life had taught him that complaining changed nothing. His mother had been sick for nearly 2 years. Some days she could barely stand. Medicine was expensive, and the landlord threatened them constantly. Next week, the landlord warned one evening, pointing aggressively at Daniel. "If I don't see my rent, both of you are out." Daniel apologized quietly, even though he knew apologies meant nothing anymore. That night, while his mother slept, Daniel sat outside their small apartment staring at the dark sky. He often wondered where his father truly was. People told different stories. Some claimed he abandoned them. Others said he died. A few whispered that he disappeared after getting involved with dangerous people. Daniel didn't know what to believe anymore. But one thing hurt him deeply. His father had promised to come back. And promises mattered to Daniel. The next day was unusually cold and rainy. Business was terrible. Most people stayed indoors while Daniel continued making deliveries through flooded streets. Around evening time, as thunder rolled across the city, Daniel noticed a crowd gathered beside an old roadside bench. Curious, he slowed his bicycle. An elderly man lay on the bench soaked in rainwater, shivering violently. People watched without helping. Some laughed quietly. Others simply recorded videos on their phones. Daniel felt anger rise inside him. How could people become so heartless? He parked his bicycle and approached carefully. The old man looked weak and dirty, but something about him felt unusual. His clothes, though torn, seemed expensive ones. And despite his condition, his eyes remained sharp and intelligent. Daniel removed his jacket immediately and covered him. "Sir, can you hear me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes. For a brief moment, fear flashed across his face as if he expected someone else. Then he relaxed. "You're not one of them," he whispered. Daniel frowned. "One of who?" The old man ignored the question. Instead, he stared at Daniel carefully. "You helped me even when others walked away." Daniel shrugged lightly. "You looked like you needed help." The old man smiled weakly. "Kindness is rare now." Daniel bought bread and water using the last money in his pocket. The old man ate slowly while studying him. "What's your name?" "Daniel." "Family?" "Just my mother." The old man became quiet, almost sad. Then he reached into his coat with trembling hands and removed a small rusty key attached to an old leather tag. The tag read, "St. Elias," below. Daniel stared at it. "What is this?" The old man grabbed his wrist suddenly with surprising strength. His voice lowered. "If anyone sees this key, your life changes forever." Daniel's heartbeat increased. "I don't understand." "You don't need to understand yet. You only need to survive." Before Daniel could respond, bright headlights illuminated the road. 3 black SUVs stopped nearby. The old man's entire expression changed instantly. Pure terror filled his eyes. "No," he whispered. "They found me." Several men in dark suits stepped out of the vehicles. Cold expressions, sharp movements, dangerous eyes. One of them pointed directly at Daniel. "The key." The old man shoved it forcefully into Daniel's hand. "Run." Then his body collapsed lifelessly against the bench. Daniel froze in shock. Dead. The old man was dead. "Grab the boy," one of the men shouted. Instinct took over. Daniel jumped onto his bicycle and sped through the rain-soaked streets. Cars blared horns. Pedestrians screamed as he rushed past. The SUVs followed closely behind. Daniel's chest burned with exhaustion, but fear pushed him harder. He turned into crowded market alleys too narrow for vehicles. One SUV crashed into fruit stalls while traders shouted angrily. Daniel didn't stop. Rain blinded his eyes as he crossed slippery roads and abandoned pathways. Finally, after nearly 20 minutes, he escaped into an abandoned warehouse near the waterfront. Panting heavily, he hid behind broken wooden crates. His hands shook violently as he stared at the rusty key. What is happening to me? Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Unknown number. Daniel hesitated before answering. A deep voice spoke immediately. If you want answers, go to St. Elias Church at midnight. The call disconnected instantly. Daniel looked toward the storm outside. Somewhere in the city, dangerous men were searching for him. And somehow, everything connected to this mysterious key. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something stronger than fear. Purpose. Like, share, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notification for part 2.